So let's start with a little bit of the backstory. 2013, you guys are having noodles. Tell me a little bit about this backstory about how you guys came together, how you guys knew that you could work together professionally. You guys obviously hit it off as friends, but when did it click that you can actually work professionally? And it took a little bit of a while. I guess there was no pressure to make this album from what I understand, so you could take your time doing it. It wasn't like anyone was breathing down your throat. But the backstory, working professionally, and why it took 3 years to get this made.
I'll let you start off.
Yeah, the first time that we met was over noodles. Well, first at a tequila bar, and then we went to Chinatown for some noodles. And that was just kind of, we were kind of, I had done a solo record, and when I was doing interviews for the record, I had mentioned RZA as a big influence, and then I got an email saying, do you want to meet my client? That came from RZA's then manager. So we go and have noodles and tequila, and I think the next times we hung out, we played some chess, and then we got together in LA and just kind of jammed. We just thought, why not? Let's just see what comes of that. And I think that was when we really kind of started to, the
Musicians, two musicians come together and make music, and if it sounds cool or it has a flavor that's unique, you kind of like, that was fun. Let's hook up again next week maybe, you know what I mean? So. Clean.
I like your hat, man.
Riz, let me get your mic, please.
10, 9, 8. 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm going to show you what hat.
Solid.
Kind of informal, man, so I think it...
Okay, no, this is better. You get more
Let's go
skin.
both ways.
What you think, Mama?
I think without.
Get a little more skin and more tone. You see that right there?
There we
You see
go.
that?
A little more skin. Shimmy, shimmy.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Check 1, 2.
You know what? You guys can't see the monitor. No, you guys just can't
All
look.
right.
Put that motherfucker. Tony, put it right there, Tony. Right there in front of me. You're supposed to let the artist see the monitor.
I cannot look at
Look,
a
you're looking
monitor
at
if
it.
I'm doing something on camera.
Oh, why not?
Then I'm like,
Self-conscious?
yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what
I'm
it's
like,
there
why
for.
do I look like that? Ugh.
I was trying to design a camera as a director. I was going to design a camera that the person can always see themselves, so they can give me their best fucking performance. They can look and be like, oh, wait a minute, I know what you want now.
And then they end up going,
Yeah.
Yes, it looks good.
Your neckline for your chain.
What about
making
it?
it.
Sorry. You got a little bit.
Okay.
No worries.
There you
No,
go.
you're good. You're good. Just make sure it's
sorry.
centered. Yeah. No, you can leave it out. Just want to make sure it's.
There you go.
It's having
Got somebody with
okay.
extra eyes on it.
Little
Thank you.
bit.
Thank you.
Let me
Rocket style work. Nice job. We're live and rolling, Marcellus. All yours.
All right.
But
Woo!
this gets edited and then put out?
Yeah. I'm going to edit it myself, and I'll put it out apparently after the 9th because you guys have an exclusive with someone else. Fine, whatever. But if you want to start over, you can start over as many times as you want, obviously.
I
not
always-
live.
I always thought that I don't take too much time saying this, but I always thought the Associated Press, I never kind of knew that it was like a really organization. I thought it meant like somebody said it and it's just press and we're just spreading it. But it's actually this, you have a building, you have this is a business.
It's the biggest news agency in the world, biggest and oldest.
You know
It's
that?
been around since the late 1800s, and
I
on
didn't know
average,
this part.
like any story that AP puts out gets about an average of 1 billion
Damn.
views.
And like when, even in old movies, when they say like it came across the wire, right? They're basically talking about AP.
Yeah.
Oh.
So we so print works the same way. So a print story goes out and it's picked up by magazines and newspapers that are clients. They pay a subscription. TV is the same.
Okay.
So they pay, like you would get HBO or something. They pay and they get the AP entertainment feed, and then they can use all the
Fire.
stories that we put out. They can
That's
go
cool.
through
I never
and
knew
pick
that.
it.
Thank you.
Yeah, and it works the same way for TV and online. So you won't hear me or see me. So if you can try to include the question in there a little bit, try to keep your answers to about like 30 seconds ish.
Eyeline is you, though?
You're gonna be
Eyeline?
looking at me, yeah.
Okay.
And like I said, you guys can do it as many times as you want. But yeah,
Cool.
we'll get started. But yeah, that's kind of how it works. It's like AP's so big. Sometimes it's hard to understand how it is. Like people are like, I know what AP is, but I don't get it. You know,
Right,
so
now I got it.
I get asked all the time. All right, so let's start with a little bit of the backstory. 2013, you guys are having noodles. Tell me a little bit about this backstory about how you guys came together, how you guys knew that you could work together professionally. You guys obviously hit it off as friends, but when did it click that you can actually work professionally? And it took a little bit of a while. I guess there was no pressure to make this album from what I understand, so you could take your time doing it. It wasn't like anyone was breathing down your throat. But the backstory, working professionally, and why it took 3 years to get this made.
I'll let you start off.
Yeah, the first time that we met was over noodles. Well, first at a tequila bar, and then we went to Chinatown for some noodles. And that was just kind of, we were kind of, I had done a solo record, and when I was doing interviews for the record, I had mentioned RZA as a big influence, and then I got an email saying, do you want to meet my client? That came from RZA's then manager. So we go and have noodles and tequila, and I think the next times we hung out, we played some chess, and then we got together in LA and just kind of jammed. We just thought, why not? Let's just see what comes of that. And I think that was when we really kind of started to, the
Musicians, two musicians come together and make music, and if it sounds cool or it has a flavor that's unique, you kind of like, that was fun. Let's hook up again next week, maybe, you know what I mean? So started off, like you said, as friends, but once we started making music together, there was something that was unique about it that, we made us pursue it further.
So tell me a little bit about this new album. What's the feel for Anything But Words? Is there a theme to it? What was it like? What was sort of like the thought process that you guys had putting it all together?
Let me start then. So one of the cool things about us working on our project was, in the beginning, we was just jamming, and some of the songs we have created end up being heard by an executive at Warner Brothers. And so they reached out to us and asked us would we be interested in doing a full collaboration album. And me and Paul was like, why not? We'll get along with this guy.
Yeah.
Right? You get along with me, right?
yeah,
We'll get
absolutely.
along, you know what I mean? So we decided to go and record a full album. And thus, a few years later, the record comes out, Anything But Words.
Nice. So what was it like assembling, this album? Because now when we have rap mixed in with like pop rock, it's obviously completely different to how you're used to doing your music to how you're used to doing your music. Without getting too technical so that our audiences still understand, but how do you mix, beats and bars and, different instruments? How does that all come together? How, when was that easy and when did it become challenging?
I think so. I mean, the gist. How did we put the songs together, and was it easy, and
what
when did
came
it become
first
hard?
sometimes, like beats, bars?
I mean, the way that I work, I'm a songwriter and a vocalist. In my band, I'm the vocalist, and that works sort of similar to this, which is if you play me a piece of music and I have a reaction to it and I get an idea for a vocal, then the rest is sort of easy, and then it's just following my instincts musically. So one way that we would write a song, RZA and I, is that we'd sort of pick a beat, because I'm thinking, I could definitely sing the hook on that beat, and then we go from there, whether or not it allows for more instrumentation or wants more instrumentation. And then as far as it being kind of a fusion of genres, if it's a beat that RZA made, then RZA can rap on it comfortably. And if we're working on it because I felt compelled to write a vocal melody, then we're both in a natural place as artists, and we're both doing things that come naturally and feel organic. So there's not too much of a conceptual discussion of how do we do it. It's just sort of things are moving, you know.
Yeah.
Wait, I want to talk about the first single, Love and War. Talk to me about that song. What is Love and War about? Talk to me a little bit about the idea behind the music video as well.
See, the cool thing about me and Paul is that we are both accomplished musicians in our own right. So when we come together to make music, we bring these elements, you know, this New York element, this rock element, this hip hop element, and we kind of merge it together in a unique way. And our first song that was released is called Love and War. And that started actually with Paul writing the hook to the track. And the cool thing about it, you know, you hear him, all is fair in love and war, what are you keeping score for, those type of ideas. It kind of inspired me to write my lyrical context, inspired Ghostface to write his lyrical context. And it's a song, I think, that reflects on how, you know, which my definition, sometimes for love, you know, you may go through hell, but it's always worth it, you know. And in the lyrics, you hear that come across.
Also, talk to me a little bit about Giant. I understand that's going to be the next one coming up soon. Talk to me a little bit about what's Giant about.
Go for it. Yeah.
No, so our first video, Love and War, is kind of, you know, you see this Yakuza, you know, torturing this dude, you know what I mean? And me and Paul is just basically in character, you know, being Banks and Steelz, you know, guarding the door, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, big dance sequence happens, and spoiler alert, the tortured couple escape. And you'll hear a little rhythm that happens as they escape, and that rhythm is actually a piece of our second video, which is our first single, called Giant, right?
Yeah, you hear it in the car stereo as they make their getaway. That's our little Easter egg.
Nice. I
So
like that.
yeah, so Giant is the first single proper. Love and War that you've heard already is you know, an album track that we wanted to share with the world to kind of get people familiar with what we were doing. Giant is the single. We worked with a great producer team, Kid Harpoon and John Hill. And it's just it's a high energy,
High octane.
high octane, kind of anthemic sort of underdog anthem is how we see it. So it sort of takes the David and Goliath thing and kind of sort of focuses more on the David. So the title is Giant, but it's kind of more about, you know, the giant in everybody and sort of taking on great obstacles.
Nice, like that. Are you guys gonna also release Anything But Words at some point?
As a single?
Yeah.
We titled the album after going through
lot.
a great amount of titles. We ended up naming our album Anything But Words. And it wasn't because we had a song with that same title. It's just when we looked at our image and we looked at the vibe we was presenting, it's almost like, you gotta say nothing. You know what I mean? I'd rather anything but words, you know what I mean? But there's a song on the record that is called Anything But Words, and it's one of my favorite tracks. And Paul, why don't you tell our viewers out there about that song a little bit?
Have you heard Anything But Words, the
It's
song?
my favorite.
Oh, cool.
I like that one the most, actually.
thank
I
you.
love it. I
Wow.
love the lyrics and everything.
Yeah.
I liked it.
I don't know. Would you like me to speak on that song?
Yeah, sure. Let's talk a little bit about it.
Okay.
Now for my own personal.
So the title track, Anything But Words, that was a beat of RZA's that I heard and was really struck by the beat and the production on it. And then I kind of did my thing with layering some guitar, and then it was kind of just like a song that we had in the background while we were working. And then one day I got an idea for the hook or for the opening vocal of the song. And for me, when that kind of idea comes, it's lyric and melody. It's just sort of from one moment to the next, I've got something to sing. So I put that down, I sent it to RZA, and he reacted to that, and I think that kind of spawned where he took it lyrically, which I think lyrically, that's one of the high points of the whole record. In fact, the second verse, I think RZA very much outdid himself, so I'm very proud of that song.
Yeah, I really, really like that one. It was on like repeat. I was like listening over and over and over again.
Great.
Yeah, I really loved it. I'm curious how you guys have now been in the business, both of you, like you just said, you know, you're both established for a very long time, different backgrounds. I'm wondering how musically you've changed as a producer over the years. Like we were just saying, this is something obviously very different from what you've done in the past, introducing these, you know, new elements and instruments and so forth. And I'm also curious what your peers thought about you mixing rap with, you know, pop rock.
All the elements.
Yeah.
Well, let me say something. I'm glad. Let me rewind that. Okay. No, the cool thing about being a musician is that you get the chance to evolve. The longer you do it, the better you should become at it, and you become more interested in more things, whether it's electronic, whether it's acoustical things. I mean, I'm even interested in, you know, Indian music and the sitar and the sound it produces. So the evolution of a musician, I think, is mandatory for him to grow, you know. And this record is example of that evolution for me. You know, I'm not shy to tell the world that I was not into rock during my hip hop prime, you know. I wasn't into R&B. R&B made me nauseous, you know what I mean? And it wasn't until, you know, a certain point in my life that I just realized the true meaning of music itself, not just what I omitted, but what was being omitted by others. And that happened, you know, maybe 10 years ago. But I think when you hear this album here, Banks and Steelz, Anything But Words, you hear an evolution of definitely me as a producer, as an MC, and as a musician. And I'm looking forward to the listeners to dive in and see where we at with it now.
Paul, how about you? You know, how do you think you've changed, you know, musically, and how do you think maybe this rap collaboration has maybe enlightened you or seen you, maybe you see things in a different way? And I'm also wondering if you guys like any other, I mean, obviously the rap, pop, rock collaboration has been done before. I'm wondering if you guys like anything else that's been done as well.
As far as previous examples of rock and hip hop coming together, I'm not a fan of all of them. I think, you know, maybe Gnarls Barkley is an example where you can't even really call it rock and hip hop, but that's something in a space where I feel, you know, things work very comfortably. I think Justin Timberlake's collaborations with Pharrell worked very comfortably, and that's hedging up against kind of rock and pop and hip hop. And so I think that the space has already been established in a way that works. For myself as a musician, you know, I'm in a rock band, but I just look at myself as a musician. And so I've been very passionate about hip hop my whole life. I'm kind of too married to melody to have ever thought about, you know, trying to rap. I admire rappers, but I would never be able to not sing, I think. So I just I don't really look at it too much in terms of like, we got to crack some code about how to fuse these things. It's kind of like, if the melody is cool, and hip-hop production has always been very inspirational to me. So as long as I can find some place to incorporate melody into a hip-hop production, then to me it's just like more music. I don't really think about it in categories so much.
And I wouldn't call our album like in the category of rock hip-hop. I feel like we didn't have an intention to put ourselves in any genre, you know. I don't think that every time somebody raps over a beat is hip-hop. I don't think that every time you hear a guitar chord or a guitar solo that is rock. You know what I mean? I think when we come together, though, as musicians, I think we created a beautiful new landscape that if you wasn't into rock, you would like it. If you wasn't into hip-hop, you would like it. But I think if you was into classical, you know, you'll hear some chord progressions and some piano riffs, or if you're into soul music, you just hear these elements of musicianship that we've acquired over the course of our lifetime, now being translated in 2016 into a new album.
Nice. I mean, you're both musicians, but there's still differences between rock stars and rappers. What are, you know, how, where,
A blurry difference.
right?
Let me tell you the difference between a rock star and a rapper. The average rapper may have more baby mamas. Maybe, though. Because you go to some of these rockers, they got some baby mamas, too. All right? So, I was just joking. All right.
It was not a joke.
Tony's like, yep, that's right.
Or, put it this way, the rappers have more baby mama drama. See, the rockers have baby mamas, you won't hear about it till he die. Right? A rapper have a baby mama and she had a TV show.
She made her own reality
Yeah.
show out of it.
Yeah.
The baby mama drama, hip hop, Atlanta. Anyway.
I wonder maybe speaker volumes in the studio that might be a little louder for the rapper.
The volume.
They're loud for the rocker, but the RZA cranks studio speakers.
Yeah, you gotta play it loud. Yo, I was signed to Loud Records. You gotta play it loud.
I've seen our A&R guy be afraid, you know, when the playback, see like eyelids kind of like trembling.
I'm trying to. What other differences are there between? Are there lifestyle differences between rock stars and rappers?
I mean, there might be lifestyle differences, you know, stereotypically, I think, between those two lifestyles. But firstly, we haven't toured yet, and I think that's where a lot of the stuff is going to come
It's
out.
gonna be interesting.
But, I mean, really, no. I think, you know, we're both artists and both people, and, you know, I think...
Well, I don't like the AC on, man.
Are you serious?
You like the AC on?
Yeah, I like the
Ain't
AC
that
on.
a bitch?
Tour's off.
Yo, it's gonna be like
You heard it here first.
It'll be like at 1. It'd be like 1 a.m. on the bus. He probably turned the AC down to 60. Get back in his bunk. 1:15. I turn the AC back up. Get back in my bunk.
That could happen.
2:30. He turns the AC.
That could happen.
There you go. See, vegan? Are you vegan too?
No, I'm not vegan.
No.
Well, you guys will have different meals,
Oh, definitely.
obviously.
Yeah. You have a better bacon burger cheddar,
Yeah.
and I'll have a fakin' vegan burger.
But it'll be fun. It'll be fun on the road. I think
It'll definitely be.
because
It'll
touring
be fun.
is different. I mean, this may be pointless to point out, but touring is different. I think within hip hop, there's less gear that you need. You know, you can hand Riz on mic and hit play on the CD, and you're gonna have an amazing show. And I come from, you know, a school of live performance where we got like 13 mics on the drum kit alone. You know what I mean? So there's a whole other side of those things. But you asked about lifestyle, so that's a separate.
No, but that's true too. Yeah, that's
there's
completely different.
There's different cultures around how I think music is recorded and how music is performed, whether between rock and hip hop.
The one thing I learned about recording of rock music, which we didn't, you know, what you don't do in hip hop, is, you know, the guitars that's playing on a rock album is actually a bunch of amps in a separate studio room being mic'd. Exactly. And so when I first saw that, I was like, oh, wait a minute. I thought that, you know, you just, you know, you plug into the mixer and you go. No, it's like, no, you plug into the amp. It's the amps that give you those unique sounds that's rock.
And
You
it's
know
an
what I mean?
amp. It's an amp that you wouldn't even take on the road because it's like a 1956.
Yeah.
You know, not road. It can't be schlepped around in a case and bumped into things. You know. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's pretty interesting to see some of the techniques what rock musicians use. And I think that the cool thing is that some of the techniques that they use can be incorporated into hip hop or any other form of music because it's actually a well-studied, a well-executed technique of producing that has worked over the years. And there's things about hip hop, I'm quite sure that, you know, you could pick up from us that's like, you know what, wow, that works. Like, you know, you hear some of the country music nowadays, and 808s are making their way into country music.
Wow. That's cool.
Yeah, boom, and you know what I mean. So I think that we're in a generation, thanks to social media, YouTube, and everything that these worlds are melding in their own way, and I think that Banks and Steelz is definitely on the cutting edge of showing you what that meld could be.
So we can have more albums. We'll see.
Hope so.
Yeah.
we like to say what supply and demand. If you demand it, we'll supply.
We'll supply it.
Individually, I know Wu-Tang released an album last year. Plans for a new one this year? You guys have been pretty on point releasing them.
No, well, I don't. Well, I haven't recorded with Wu this year, so I doubt that we'll be able to give you a record this year. So for the Wu fans, you know, you have to turn to the solo dudes. But on the Banks and Steelz, we got a special guest appearance by Ghostface, special guest appearance by Method Man, Master Killer. So the Wu brothers came to the table and represented on this project, and I'm grateful and thankful for that.
Nice, good support. How about you guys? You've last album 2014, right?
Wow,
El
was it?
Pintor.
Yeah, it could be.
Did you guys have plans for a new album too, or not yet?
There'll be a new record with Interpol, yes, but not any firm plans as to when.
Cool. So I wanted to also ask you guys about we're in a deep political race right now, where things are getting steamy. We're getting closer. The California primaries are finally coming up. What are your thoughts on what's going on right now politically? Have you guys publicly announced who you're rooting for or supporting?
I personally have never discussed politics. Just to have it out, so I'm not being cagey.
Yeah,
with just you.
Yeah, no worries.
Bobby, any comments on that?
Well, I don't vote, but you know, so I advise people to vote. You know, I had a weird childhood, and so I felt like I was excluded for certain things. But one thing I could say is that it's a lot of electricity in it. You know, it's very unique this year, and I think I want to do a skit with me as Obama and him as Trump. Let's see how many views we get.
Wow.
That'd be funny though, huh? No? Yeah? Man?
Could be, if we
Could
script
be.
it right, yeah.
Yeah.
But actually, I haven't been keeping up lately. I mean, how is Hillary looking right now?
She's looking pretty good.
I'm not going to complain
good.
about that.
Yeah. I'll say one thing political, like about our country. I think me and my generation and you know, my family was so proud to see Barack Obama become the president of the United States. And, you know, the first black president is one thing, which is beautiful, but also the poise and the personality that he embodied. It's more like I'll let him in my house. He come on in, have down, and we'll cook a meal for him because he embodied a real man persona. I'm glad that America was able to grow to a point that we can vote in a black president. And it took all of us because there ain't enough black people to do it. You know what I mean? But now that a woman has a chance to take that helm, just for the image of our country, you know what I'm saying, it would be also a great thing for us, you know, because it shows that the principles that the forefathers put forth, you know, that anyone can pursue this liberty, this happiness. You know, there's no limitation placed upon nobody. It physically proves it. It takes it out of theory. And so Barack Obama, you know, is an example of it. And whether it's Hillary or some woman in the future, who knows who it's going to be. But I wouldn't be appalled or upset. I'll be happy that our country showed forth that, no, we into what we say we are. And here go a woman to rock the world for a minute.
Yep, it's going to be a tight one. It's going to be, well, if you guys do the skit, you just have some teasing. You do a little action, you know.
That'd be crazy.
Do a little wave there with the hair, you know, make that work.
We do it like it's a rap battle.
Oh, man. I don't know, man.
I'm fucking with you.
We should meet on that one.
I'm fucking with him. You gotta cut that out. You ain't gonna cut it out? Cut this out.
Cut it out. And then I have a random story that I'm working on too, that is gonna sound totally random to you guys, but I'm doing like this beauty story on like how to remain youthful. It's targeting mostly like 35 and up, because in your 20s, you're like, you know, but so I'm wondering as guys if you have done anything different beauty wise, getting older. I know, I'm sure your beauty regimen has been changed by Helena, because that's top notch right there. She is
Oh.
like, wow. So I know you're getting some great beauty tips. You better spill right now.
I was gonna say no. I have no beauty advice. I don't think I'm the right guy to ask at all. I smoke and love being in the sun, so I'm doing it all wrong. I think exercise is nature's antidepressant, and I think it's great for so many reasons. Just as far as your longevity, physically, that's really as a man what I would recommend, because I also I'm not about to get into skin creams and shit. That's not really my bag. But I would say exercise is really key, especially as you get up, in your mid-late 30s. There's very specific things that you can do and should be doing exercise-wise.
Yeah, he's
How
right.
about you?
No, he's right. Exercise. When you sweat, male or female, your body actually, detoxifies you. It helps you. So, exercise, stretching, and sweating, those are the things that keep rejuvenating your blood. And when the blood's rejuvenated, the skin's rejuvenated. That's why even after you come out the gym, you feel like, wow, I look good right now. You know what I mean?
Got that nice glow.
Yeah, so keep that up, and sex, keep a healthy sex diet.
No, I think
I
you're
just
right.
said that for
In terms
myself.
of,
Make sure.
spirituality and happiness
Nah.
is big.
Well, there's one thing that the Holy Quran had mentioned about the Prophet Muhammad, is that he always smiled. You know what I mean? And they say that smiling, because you use so many muscles to do that in your face, that smiling actually preserves your youth. So you can add that to your regimen. A smile.
That's
Good one.
a good one. That's a good one. Smiling is good. Smiling is good. And then finally, now we're leaving interview territory. I just I'm taking off my reporter hat now. I'm just being like a normal person. I actually work with I volunteer with a prison program that's based out of Lancaster State Prison.
Mhm.
It's all lifers there. So basically, I'm like a volunteer there, and they do. There's a prison education program for lifers. So they're starting a new program where they get a chance to get a degree, associate's degree, BA. Maybe they get out, some of them, and some of them don't, but it still gives them a chance to get a degree while they're in there. It's a program that it's fairly new, but it's become official. And so I bring this up because I bring it up to certain celebrities just because it's a program that needs support and attention, especially from celebrities. And so if you do, it's totally okay if you don't. If it's something that you think that is cool, like if you agree with prison education program, I'm just asking for a tag, if you would do a tag.
All right, let me say something about that for you, because
thank you, I appreciate it.
no, seriously, because a man must realize this. Your first heaven is your body itself. And even though you could be locked up in somewhere, nobody wants to be locked up. Even if a fly's in your house, he wants to get out, right? But if you focus on your first heaven, which is yourself, and you make that as best as you can, whether that's through education, physical exercise, the humility, then wherever you walk becomes heaven. Because you made yourself, your temple, as Jesus said, the kingdom of God is within. You've made that kingdom within your heaven. I think that it's great for us to give prisoners a chance to educate themselves, because their bodies are trapped, but their minds is free. I always use the analogy with my own son that, Pluto is 3,680,000,000 miles away from the sun. Now, most likely, kid, you're not going to get there. But you could think it, and you could travel there with your mind, because the body is a vehicle for the mind, and there's no limitation where that mind could travel. And education helps the mind to travel.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.